Okay, so I'm going to spend my 5 minutes before discussion talking about a problem that myself, Melissa Kenny, and a colleague, Eva Rainier, at the Naval Postgrad School have been mulling over for the past few years. And part of this starts in the fact that philosophers of science have been thinking about what models are in general as scientific objects and how we use them for, I'd say, 50 to 60 years. And they haven't really figured out what the answer to those questions are. Surprise. And so that really shows in both the sort of popular consensus of what models are, as well as how experts, how we talk about our own models, even as we break them in journal articles. So for example, how the public understands. One extreme here, this was a few months ago, about how economic experts keep getting the economy wrong. So this is a picture of, I still don't have a laser, but you can see it. Those red arrows indicate you're getting it wrong, that forecasters are getting it wrong. So this is an example of it's experts that are making these forecasts, there are no models involved in this sort of popular narrative. On the other end is that these models sort of exist independent of experts. It's sort of like model and scare quotes. And so this was an example of a review of climate policy models and calculating the social cost of carbon. And so this sort of narrative is like, there are models, maybe we got them at a garage sale, who knows? And so this surprisingly also kind of spills over into how experts, maybe not you, maybe how they talk about their models in public settings, such as writing journal articles. So these are just two examples I'm going to show before I hopefully leave some good questions for us to get to into a discussion. But so this is an example of a climate policy multiple model comparison study, where a group was taking, say, like 10 or 15 models and saying, if it finds a solution, what does this mean? Like, if we find a pathway. And as what you find is you have two groups. Some say, well, if it finds a target, whether or not it exists or not, it's sort of, if I believe otherwise that it exists, we're not really learning from a model. I don't care what it says. And then you have another group that says, feasibility is just a model issue. My latent knowledge doesn't matter as an expert. And you find this also in other things, such as looking at the social cost of carbon. This quote essentially says that we have differences across models. We just think they're model artifacts. We're not really sure as experts what we believe in terms of whether this correlates. Is there actually a scientific difference in knowledge or not? And when I contrast this with what a group, and I'm glad weather forecasting has come up quite a bit before, because I think this is a group that is doing a really good job in terms of thinking about models as objects in operational context. And so a few years ago, there were a few groups that actually sent in people who know a lot about cognitive science to sit with weather forecasters and say, how is it that modeling fits in with how you as an expert give a prediction? And so what we find is that a lot of forecasters are explicitly talk about things which we call learning about learning from a model, is that they have a loop in which they take the model that they have, as well as other latent information, and say, what does this mean to me? And combine that with other latent information to actually update and learn from the models and give a forecast to the public. And so earlier we were talking about the difference between prediction and forecast. So this is something that the weather community has thought about quite a bit. And in general, it seems to be that prediction is sort of the baseline information you get from models. It's sort of learning about what it says as a quantitative object. And then the forecast itself is actually combining that with the latent knowledge. So this is sort of the qualitative story or narrative that you then give to the public that adds in what you know about what's good and bad about your model, what you know about local conditions, etc. And so I'm going to leave us there with those sort of two endpoints of where in science we are in thinking about models as objects and how we think about expert judgment and interpreting them. And leave with these questions of, I'm not an ecologist, so I don't know the answer to this question. I hope you'll tell me. Along these sort of polar opposite examples, where is ecological forecasting right now? Do we understand how ecological forecasters move from prediction to forecast. And in general, I think this has been driven home really well by the previous talks is, well, does this even matter for